All right. Welcome to an episode of Digital Dialogues. My name is Ethan, and today I'm here with Michelle Liang, Product Marketing Coordinator at Paramount. Thank you so much for being here, Michelle, and taking the time to join us today. So, I just want to ask if you could describe your role as a Product Marketing Coordinator for Paramount and just kind of walk me through on what you do on a daily basis and I guess just what are kind of your tasks and responsibilities for the day.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on this, Ethan. So I am currently at Paramount, but it's more in the tech department of Paramount. So the products that I work on are mainly in the advertising world. So anything you see from like a Super Bowl ad or like on Paramount Plus or on any cable channels, those are things that are basically ad spaces provided by Paramount. So there's a whole org within Paramount that is working on selling these spaces to ad agencies or direct advertisers. And within the tech team that I'm under, I help create basically advertising products that help to enhance or gain more revenue from these ad spaces. That's essentially kind of my team or where I fall under. And as product marketing, I basically just help these products go to market, whether that's for internal use or that's for a more client facing product. Our clients are mainly ad agencies, so it's more B2B products. And specifically on a day to day, that would kind of change depending on what the product lifecycle is or what's really required by the current period or time. So it's very different depending on every week. But I feel like the main things are creating these collaterals that help our sales team pitch our products to our clients, or just things that would be important during a new feature launch and making sure that everything goes smoothly and our positioning for the products makes sense and is providing value to our clients. Um, Other than that, I think there's a lot of other support for different teams on the role. Our team is very cross functional. We have people on the product side who are designing or developing these products, and we have client services who are, in contact with our sales team and our clients a lot. And then there's obviously product marketing. So we all work together, and it's kind of cool that I get to be exposed to other sides of how a product can be made, even from a marketing standpoint. But of course, I feel like every person who works in product marketing is different depending on what industry they're in or what team they're in. So this is kind of more of a subjective responsibility in day to day for my team.
And then just to clarify, you said your team was the technical kind of side of things, correct?
Yeah, we technically fall under the tech org, but we're also adjacent to the advertising org.
I see. Got you. And then I understand you worked many different roles within the entertainment industry, such as talent, program operations, performance management, etc. What really interested you in marketing and I guess why specifically for products?
That is a good question. So as context, you know this, but I this is my first full-time job out of college. So I have not had, as much experience as someone who maybe spent, like decades in this industry. But I would say kind of my path to deciding on marketing or product marketing in entertainment really came from trying different things during college. So, like you mentioned, during college, I did a lot of internships. I've tried talent management, film development, operations, basically very different things within entertainment. And then really just kind of finalizing on marketing at the end. I think just realizing that being in the business standpoint of entertainment was just more exciting for me than being in a more creative role. Of course, that differs based on everyone else. I know people who were in my college cohort, a lot of them went on to a more creative path. But for me, I think I just have a more analytical mindset, and that definitely plays well in a business role more than a creative role. Yeah, I think there's also more room for growth with entertainment in a business standpoint. So that's kind of why I went this direction instead of the other one. But marketing specifically, I think it ties in the analytical mindset and that need, but also with a little creative bonus. because you get to be brainstorming ways to campaign for whatever you're working on, whether that is, a movie or TV show or an advertising product. So there's a kind of best of both worlds there. And that's also why I wanted to go in entertainment in the first place, is just have that creative kind of excitement that goes on in here.
And then, as someone who studied business of cinematic arts, what kind of skills or knowledge that you learned in school do you believe had the most impact on your career? Or even from the extracurriculars or orgs you were a part of during your time in college?
Mm. So my major was basically business administration with kind of an add-on in the cinematic space. So we definitely had all the skills that we needed to know from, taking a business course like everyone else in the business administration major. But at the same time, I think the cinematic arts add-on was helpful, not in a technical way. I didn't learn how to, I don't know, make a movie, even though we did have a course on that, but it was all the technical classes were very basic, just things that I think would be good to know as someone who wants to work in the industry. But I think the biggest sell from that program, or the biggest takeaway I had from it, was just learning about what options you can go to being in the entertainment space. Like, we had a lot of different classes tailored to each direction with professionals who are actually very experienced in that field. For example, I went into the program thinking I wanted to be a talent manager. And then sophomore year, we had a class with a talent manager and we learned all about that world. And then I realized, okay, maybe that's not the best role for me, just because, seeing how everything works there, the kind of personality you need to have, I realized it didn't really align. But then I took a marketing class within entertainment and realized that was more something that's within my realm. So yeah, just being able to get a little taste of every direction kind of helped me decide or finalize on where I want to go after college. And on top of that, it's just the networking. Everyone, or most people within my program, went somewhere within the industry. So it's kind of nice to continue building off of that and just have a good cohort and network to reach out to when things come.
Got you. Would you say you still kind of keep in touch with your cohort, or I guess many of your colleagues?
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
actually.
that's good.
It's hard to keep up with everyone, but there is that one good thing about LinkedIn is you kind of get to see what everyone is doing afterwards, which is kind of fun because you kind of all started in the same place, but you ended up going in very different directions after college. And people I do keep up with, it is nice to kind of catch up on what they're doing, and maybe something that's very different is also exciting. Like, I have a friend in the program who wants to be a screenwriter. So that's something that is completely different from what I'm doing, but also cool to catch up on. And it helps you be more in tune with what's going on in this industry, like, as a whole. So
Yeah. I guess before Paramount, I understand you worked at many different entertainment companies, both big and small, and even at agencies. From your experiences, what are the biggest differences and similarities working with such distinct companies, but all staying within the entertainment space? And if you could provide some examples from the different companies or agencies you worked at.
yeah. So the first internship I had within the space was at a smaller film development company or film production company, and I did script coverages and really just on the development side of films. So essentially, what they do is they give you a bunch of scripts that people have sent over to the company. And then as an intern, you're reading through these scripts and then writing coverages and also writing summaries of what it is. And then that helps the higher ups kind of have more time to vet through each one, and then decide on maybe one of them they want to invest in. So that was obviously at a much smaller company than, Paramount. And I think it was nice because you get to meet with people who are executives, um, a lot easier than a bigger company. And you really get to see how each person is important within how the whole process works. And then at the talent agency I worked on, where their clients are more digital creators than the traditional talents. So that one, again, was a little smaller but bigger than the film production company. And I had actually a whole cohort of interns that were working together under a specific manager. So again, very different way of how they do things, but it was also cool to just be able to speak with all these professionals and see how everything works together and how they are communicating with talent. And then after that, I was at Showtime and then Sony. So those again were much bigger companies. I think I had less exposure to how the entire company works compared to the last two companies. So I was more in a specific kind of vertical and working very closely with my team and the responsibilities that this team has to produce. But I had less idea of what is going on as a bigger org. But it was still nice because I think you get that specialization and you really, really understand what that vertical looks like within the bigger company and how we are able to contribute to the overall goal. So I would say bigger companies definitely have their perks in terms of if you want to specialize in something or if you um, want a more structured way of building your career. But then at these smaller companies or agencies, you have more exposure to how everything works. Yeah, you can kind of just really be a jack of all trades, I think.
That makes sense. Would you say at like these smaller companies and agencies, you'd wear many different hats and fill roles that necessarily you're not really interested in, but you just do it because there aren't as many hands or as many, you know, people on board to fill those positions and roles?
Yeah, I think that could happen. But I would say even at bigger companies, when you have a smaller team, that happens as well.
Mm,
For example, at my current role, our team is a lot smaller compared to some other teams at the company. And I do find myself and a lot of members on my team also kind of having to fill different roles or take on a project that wasn't maybe within our, direct responsibility, but needed someone to help out there. So I think it really depends a lot more on your team or how defined your role is compared to the whole team. And I personally enjoy being a jack of all trades or trying different things. I think especially at like an earlier stage in your career, it's better to try different things than focus too much on one thing and just continuing doing that. Yeah, so I think the company size isn't as important here. It's just more of like what kind of team that you're on and what do you want to get out of your role.
did you find it difficult moving from one specific role to another, all within the entertainment space? And then I guess what specifically about product did you enjoy or do you currently enjoy over your previous experiences?
Mm. I honestly don't think it was too difficult. Well, I feel like I'm speaking as someone who is going into these roles in a very entry level position. So I think it would be harder if I was going from a higher up role from a talent agency to
Mm,
suddenly a media space. So as someone who is kind of transitioning as an intern or as an entry level position, people don't expect you to, have all the experiences. So that was helpful. So you always get the first few months or first month or so to get onboarded and really just learn. And with, your background or your knowledge of entertainment industry as a whole, I think that also helps understand or learn quicker from like what each company is focused on. And in terms of like hard skills, I think those are not hard to develop as long as you are, really taking your time in the first few weeks of your role to ask questions and just learn by doing. Okay. My last role from this one was working more with, I guess, like movies, TV shows, and this kind of creative assets and marketing for that. That was very fun for sure. But I think I wanted to try a little something else in product just because for me, this like the special or the nice thing about working in product and as a marketer is you get a say in um, how the product looks compared to if you are given, I don't know, a movie or a TV show. As a marketer or even as an entry level marketer, you're not going to be able to say, I want this to be changed in the movie, right? And so you're kind of just given what you have, and it doesn't really matter if you like it or not. You're going to have to just market it to the right people. But in the product space, a product marketer actually has some say or opinion that they can use to improve the product, because we're essentially the voice of the client or of the users. So we're able to bring in the research we've done from there or the knowledge that we have to say, hey, maybe this part of the product or maybe this feature should be developed, and I think our users will like it better. So I liked having that kind of say within what I'm marketing for, just because I think as a marketer, it's definitely more fun when you are passionate about the product and you believe in it. Kind of a nice thing to be able to um, influence how the product looks and then in turn become very passionate and believe in what you're working on. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the nice thing that I've realized about being a product marketer that I didn't know. It was more of a bonus because I didn't know much about product marketing going in. But when I found out as I'm in my role, it was definitely something that was nice. And I liked that I was able to be influential in that sense instead of just kind of giving something and then saying, okay, like make sure that people like it.
I guess being in the tech space and looking ahead, what kind of emerging trends or technologies in the digital media landscape do you anticipate will have the biggest impact on different industries? And over the years, do you think it'll change the landscape of marketing? Do you see a lot of change already happening with the introduction of AI?
Well, I think we already see one very direct benefit in terms of AI for any marketer, which is ChatGPT being able to help you write content. I feel like a big part of marketing is writing copy that are compelling or just messaging, writing in general. And that usually takes up a lot of time when you are just doing it from scratch. And I personally benefited from using these AI tools. We use what is it called? The Bing AI tool. I can't remember what it's called, but we use that one because that's more that's our company authorized tool, and it helps you as a marketer to basically spend less time writing copy and creating these content and give yourself more time for things that are like more important like strategy or any other materials that AI wouldn't be able to help produce. So that's definitely a first direct impact, I would say. And I think like everyone see that this is just going to be a very tip of the iceberg. It's going to be a lot more influential as it gets developed. Yeah, I can't say how far it will be able to impact, but I definitely see a big impact in helping advertisers maximize their investment through some kind of automation with AI. And I know people who are using AI to create their ads instead of having to spend huge amount of money to develop videos themselves. Definitely a lot of ways that this could go, but I'm excited to see kind of that direction. Hopefully, we all still have a job after that. So I think very important to like you said, like stay in tune with what's going on because I think people who are more opposed to it end up kind of falling out of that loop when things get developed and they don't have the skills to really leverage AI.
Yeah. I was going to ask, being in that space right now, would you say a lot of people are pretty nervous about it? Just the fact that how fast it's developing and, how many jobs they know like it could kind of cover. Or are they very optimistic about it and excited for this new wave of technology to take over? I mean, me personally, I'm low key kind of nervous. Like, as you said, who knows if I'll have a job in the future
Yeah.
because of it. And there's no regulations put in place, but I feel like there might have to be.
I think I
Yeah.
also have some kind of nervousness seeing where it goes and how fast it's going. I think even just right now, I'm having trouble keeping up with what's going on. Every month, something new is coming out. So I would say the best way that people are using to mitigate that nervousness is just try to understand more, and then really tying it in with what you're currently working on, and kind of having the mindset of you shouldn't let AI take over what you're doing, but you should be able to take over AI and use it to maximize the what you're
Mm,
doing. Having more information on how to use it and how to leverage it in your work is gonna help you kind of get on top compared to just accepting that AI will take over your day to
yeah.
day and then that's it. I hope that in the next 2 years, we'll have more time to really figure out our position within how we can work together with that tool. But like you said too, I think regulation is definitely going to come into play soon with the whole like privacy and like job security and all the things that would challenging incorporating such a intense technology into the world. I have faith that, someone will take care of it. And I'm just my role is to just understand as much as possible and being agile with how kind of the norm becomes.
That's a great outlook. What's some advice can you give or provide to those who want to become digital marketers from your own personal experience of being in the field for some time? And just to any early professionals or professionals who want to transition into the entertainment space?
I think what really helped me, like I've kind of been saying throughout this conversation, is trying different things first and then deciding on what you want to do afterwards. I think everyone gets a little nervous in the early stages of, oh, I need to figure out what I want to do now, and or else I'm not going to have enough time to move up or get really good at it compared to my colleagues. But what really benefited me was really using those internships I have to try out different things I wanted to do, then being able to say, okay, maybe these are the strengths I have and these are what I like. I can try out this role next. And if I like it, I'll stay. If I don't, I can move on to something else. So, yeah, don't be afraid to try out different roles or even things that you didn't think were interesting or you don't think you have the experience in, because you might surprise yourself and find that, this might just be what you want to do for the next 3 to 5 years or forever. Maybe not forever. I don't even know if I'll stay within product marketing for the rest of my life. But yeah, basically just don't tie yourself down to one thing. I guess the second thing related to that is just reaching out to people, building your network, figuring out who are people that could help you along the process, really realizing that everyone in the industry or not in the industry can teach you something. Being someone who is willing to learn would be very helpful in the early stages.
Got you. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, Michelle, for taking the time to join me today and cover all these topics. Really appreciate it.
Thank
Um,
you.